All right, everybody. Well, let's now that we're sort of back a little bit, let's just dive in a little bit to this topic of finding your own voice. And when I was very young, I started practicing meditation when I was in my early 20s. And I was a part of Spirit Rock Meditation Center. I found one of their retreats by accident in my early 20s. And I didn't even know. Somebody told me, there's food there. They teach you how to meditate. There's vegetarian food. I had just become a vegetarian. Vegetarian food there. They tell you how to meditate, which was what I needed. I was trying to practice on my own with books, and it was not helping. I was just thinking the whole time. Not only thinking, obsessing. So I got to Spirit Rock, and I spent many years practicing there, and then started doing training there, and various programs, community dharma programs, and then a formal teacher training with Jack Kornfield and Joseph Goldstein, who's on the East Coast. These are insight teachers. I also study with Tibetan teachers as well. And I saw a lot of different types of teachers teaching. When I would observe there was more of the, I had the whole Indian community. I also used to do a lot of self-realization fellowship stuff with Paramahansa Yogananda's community. And then I would go, but mostly Spirit Rock. And I saw a lot of different Buddhist teachers and a lot of styles. And over the years, as I got older and more mature, it became apparent that I wanted to express what was coming through me. Because with any group, what happens is the group all begins to gel together and imitate one another. And especially if you're being trained, right? Because the unconscious assumption is you'll be just like me, right? This is what the Dharma is. This is how we act. This is how we sit. This is what we say. Don't say that, say this, right? And it starts to become very formulaic, right? And I would sit and years of training, and I would listen to Dharma talks. Many were the same one again and again and again, the formula, right? And I remember getting this idea that I was already living in Oakland, which is a very colorful community in Oakland, California. And I was like, this doesn't really fit with my community, this style. So how can I adapt, right? Because the truth is the truth, and it's so great, and I knew my Oakland community, the moment they would hear this, they would know it, right? It was because that's how the truth is, right? It hits you in the heart. Right. And when you hear something like the Four Noble Truths, there's suffering. It just wham, you get it. They knew suffering. So I knew that I could translate. And I needed to translate because a lot of what we get also has a lot of cultural baggage. North American cultural baggage, also Asian baggage, or wherever we got baggage with everything. We're humans, right? Our baggage mixed with that baggage mixed with it. And so, but the truth is still the bones under it, right? That doesn't ever seem to change, the core, right? But how we influence that, how we adapt that, how we translate that can have great impact on our work in the world, right? So early on, I saw a lot of teachers that would just imitate other teachers, right? They would even use the same way of sitting and influx, the way their voice, or the exact same instruction, which is okay. But as time goes on, you're going to get tired of that box. Because I really feel like it's like an explosion of new voices coming in, and their experiences shape how they express these truths that we're all pointing to: awareness, suffering, and the end of suffering, right? And when I was very young, I used to be on these really long retreats, like 3-month retreats. I used to go on the East Coast. And all of the teachers, because they came from a certain upper class white demographic, all the stories, all the analysis, everything was filtered heavily through that lens. And I remember feeling like this doesn't really relate. And but the teaching related. But that was just, it was just like a huge disconnect there. And I realized over time that they kind of wanted me to join the club. I kind of had to join that. I had to act like that. So in the early days when I was in training, I used to wear these Indian shawls, of course, because that was the dress code. I would wear these skirts, I kid you not, which is so funny. These like giant wool skirts. I basically dressed like a nun for years. I did. I used to wear this color. It's funny I'm wearing this color today, but I'm much more festive now. Like I think living in South America, it just does, it's like, it's a fiesta of colors and expression there, Brazil, Peru, it's just different, right? It's not the North. The North has a, you know what I mean? And so I remember at a certain point, I was wearing this dress and I had these black shoes on, and I just caught a glimpse of myself while I was walking by a mirror. And I was teaching in New England. I was in the middle of winter, and I just was like, somehow this is not fully who I am. And I remember like, yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go back to Oakland. I gotta reevaluate some things here. And this is when we started our community in downtown Oakland. And so there was this burst of spirit and energy and people and multicultural, multi-gender, most gender expression of all kind, he, she, they, everything was exploding years ago, right? Like 15 years ago, Oakland was already at that place of diversity, just expression. It's just the city itself, right? And so that really was helpful for me to find this other channel. And so I learned a lot during that time about authenticity. Like there was a part I loved and I needed to do that as a teacher in training. But I remember at one point I quit all the retreats I did and just spend time in Oakland. It was almost like the influence, I needed to have my own voice come out a little bit more, right? Because at that time I didn't have teachers that looked like me or modeling or anything. It was just me and like a handful. And so, but I think that was the best kind of medicine though, when something pushes you, the vision pulls, right? It's suffering makes you grow no matter where it is, if you're willing to live deeply. Right? That discomfort, something, it's like the rock in the shoe, you're like, I'm here, but it's just not, something's just not, it's just not smooth, right? I'm not in my groove here. So finding my own voice really was a journey for me as a woman, as a Black woman in Buddhism, as a younger woman at that time, right? I had a lot of restraints on me. It was like I was being like monitored. I was and plus I was in a teacher training, which there's this constant analysis, like pruning, like, oh, she shouldn't go that. No, come back this way. No. It was a little too much, and so there was that sense of being like, oh my God, I think that's probably what everyone goes through. I'm sure monastics go through that too, Sean, right? You're like, oh, like the comfort, wanting to break out. And I think that's our nature. It's like this underlying desire to be free. And how do we take the dharma and allow that people are looking for that freedom? And so finding your voice with that and being able to respond to what's authentic in you is like a big part of your magic, your medicine, your dharma is what is going to help people, what's coming through you. So I always encourage people to try to discover more about what that is for themselves, right? Because that's where you're going to be happiest. That's where you're going to be authentic. That's where teaching becomes not only fun for you, it's healing you as you're delivering it. It's waking you up. If we're in someone else's voice and someone else's lane, the suffering happens even when we're on the teacher seat, right? We'll start to feel this like pain and we stop growing, right? we don't grow. But when we're sort of tapped into our flow and trusting what's happening, there's an engagement that's healing both people there. By speaking your deepest truth, it heals something in you. It's waking you up, basically. So I have discovered that a lot. Like, oh, my deepest truth gives me so much more strength, right? Than imitating Jack Cornfield, which you can never do anyway, or imitating, but we try, or Tara Brach, and do that, or we, we can't help but look at other people and go, well, I should be like that. They're famous, so that must be the formula. It's actually the opposite. That's their formula. And they followed it. Jack is who he is. He's never changed that. Tara's like in her lane, or whatever other teachers that you really admire, that you look up to, they're doing them. That's why they have the success, right? Tara's Tara, 100%, right? She never tried to be anything but her. And so finding our voices is really, really key. So I want you to be thinking about this in the terms of, I'll ask you a few questions. When do you feel that you are tapping into your deepest wisdom? What are those times? Where are you? Are you, where you feel like you're the most comfortable? Because you could be comfortable, even uncomfortable. So we're not talking about nervousness. Right? That kind of come when we're, I'm on, I have to say something. But where is the flow for you? Where, when you think of like, I want to be a teacher and I want to share, where are you in your mind? Are you in a church setting? Are you with women? Are you out with men? Are you on the land? Are you in a community hall? Are you in a dharma hall, a temple? Like, what have you, and to start noticing where your voice easily flows. Right? What is the set? What is the setting? And so many years for me, it was being in downtown Oakland. It really was. We were like right on a corner, right downtown. I used to lead every Thursday night the People of Color Sangha, which was about 100 people, really rowdy activist types. I used to like that, very challenging and like, I don't understand the dharma. Is this capitalism? Is this, and I'd be like, yeah, it was like kind of like driving a ship that was really bumpy. It was like a challenge, right? To kind of like meet all the questions and keep going forward. Anyone could come in. It was all generosity based. The doors were open, right? As long as you weren't drunk or high, you could come in, right? If we saw somebody that was like kind of borderline, we'd have a little security enforcement to be like, no. Got to come back some other time. But so it was, that for me was alive. I grew from that. It was like edgy, and beautiful, great heart. Oh my God, real. And so finding our voice also is a kind of realism. You have to be vulnerable, connecting. And this, I think with this new generation Z's, X, Y, and Z's, I love it. There's a kind of realness that is needed, an authenticity. If we are imitating and we're being phony and just rehearsing, sending out, they'll smell it a million miles away, And those teachers often sort of get the tomatoes thrown a lot more, like trollers or mean notes. Trolling has happened a long time at Dharma centers. Let me tell you, it's called the note board. And there would be a lot of comments after every, so you get used to that. That you just roll with. That's like a whole nother thing. You just keep doing you. But the authenticity has to be there, a kind of vulnerability. Are we really living this? Right? Are we just sharing? There's times where I was kind of misaligned with my voice, was the times I wasn't practicing, but I was like sitting on the stage telling everyone else to. It was just like the dharma was over here and I was more over here, right? It wasn't quite. And so finding our voice has to be really important for us, right? And then trusting it. There's finding it, and then there's fully trusting it and expressing it.